So today we're going to start with converting and working with measurements, converting measurements. This is something that's challenging to so many people around the world, especially because our country uses a different system than other countries. But we're going to give you a tool that's going to make your life so much easier. We're going to do two examples. We're going to start off with liquids, and then we're going to move to distance. But this can be applied to every single thing that you know. The key is that if something's not on the reference sheet, then you need to memorize it. But right now we're going to give you all of these conversions. This is something that you will learn with time. We're given 32 ounces. We need to find out how many pounds that is.
So one tool that I love to use when I'm figuring out conversions is a ratio table. What do you think?
I love it. I love it because it's so easy to use.
So I'm going to set up a ratio table. I see our reference over here says that 1 pound is the same as 16 ounces, so I can include that in my ratio table already. I'm going to label the left as pounds.
You want the left side to be the larger unit. So thinking about ounces and pounds, which one is larger? 1 pound is larger. And a way to know that is because 16 ounces make up 1 pound.
So I'm going to jot down that 1 pound is the same as 16 ounces. And how I'm going to use this ratio table is I'm going to see, okay, how do I get from one unit to the other unit? And in this case, I'm going to look and I'm going to say, how can I get from 1 to 16, or how can I get from 16 to 1? I know that if I divide 16 by 16, I'll get 1.
Or if I multiply 1 times 16, I'll get 16.
How we determine which way we're going to end up going is based on our conversion problem specifically. So in this situation, we have 32 ounces, and we have to figure out how many pounds are in those 32 ounces. So since we don't know our pounds, we can't use that information. We have to move from ounces to pounds.
And again, to check over here, we already have ounces and we're figuring out how many pounds. So whatever we're doing to this one, we have to do to the original. So Miss Young, how do we go from 16 to 1?
Well, like I said before, we divide 16 by 16, and that will give us 1.
And I checked just to make sure. So if we divided by 16 to go from ounces to pounds, what should we do for 32 ounces?
Well, we have to do the same thing. So we're going to have to divide 32 by 16. 32 divided by 16, I know from my prior knowledge that there are 2 groups of 16 and 32. So that means that there are 2 pounds. 2 pounds are the same as 32 ounces. We're going to check our work using multiplication. 16 times 2 is 32. If you didn't know that math fact, you could have also listed your multiples of 16, since we knew that 16 was our conversion factor here.
When we are working with units, please make sure you are labeling everything so that when you look back at your work, you understand it. So now we know 32 ounces is the same thing as 2 pounds, and we can check by filling it in. Does that make sense? Absolutely. This looks really good. Let's do one more example really quickly.
This time, we're going to be converting feet into inches. Our problem is 29 1/10 of a foot is the same as how many inches?
Here's the thing, this is not on your reference sheet, so we're going to give it to you now. But when you have a ruler, you can take a look. 1 foot is the same thing as 12 inches. So I'll put that here, and Ms. Young will jot that into our ratio table.
Again, I'm putting feet on the left because feet here are our larger unit.
And if you're not sure, take a look at a ruler. This is 1 foot, and this is 1 inch. Foot larger than 1 inch. And now we can put in the information we are given. 29 1/10, does that represent your feet or inches? It represents feet. And we're trying to find out inches.
This time I noticed that our unknown is on the right-hand side. This must mean we're going to be moving from left to right.
And how do we go from 1 to 12? So 1 and then some operation equals 12. I can do 1
times 12.
equals 12.
If we're going to multiply by 12 for our first set of numbers, we have to do the same thing for our second set. So we're going to do 29 and 1/10 times 12.
And I know we just talked about doing this. If you're not sure how to do this, you can go back to the multiplying decimals video. We will just set it up so that we can start it, but we will not finish this. Feel free to take a look if you need to. So I'll rewrite this, I'll write it a little bit larger as 20 plus 9 plus 1/10 times 10 plus 2. And I could use a place value chart if I need to.
We can set up an area model. We're not going to solve, but it would look something like this.
Where we'll represent 20 plus 9 plus 1/10 and multiply that by 10 plus 2. And then we would add our partial products. We both prefer to convert them to decimals inside of the area model and then add them in a place value chart. Feel free to keep it in fractions, add it as a fraction, but remember to convert it back to decimals because the question started off with decimals. Again, if you are stuck here, go to the multiplying decimals video. Feel free to use this ratio strategy for feet, inches, yards, for kilometers, for liters, for grams, anything that you want to. It's useful for every single conversion you do for the rest of your life. Good luck. Bye.